Hello. As you can see, I'm in the library again today, and I'm here to talk with you today about the Trecena of Kawok. On this day, 13 Tihash, to finish off the Kame Trecena. How was the Kame Trecena for you? Did it bring up your fears? Did it bring something to the surface that needed to be confronted, that needed to be overcome? Was it that there was something that was ready to shed its coil, as it were, to move on, in order to lead us into this Trecena of Kawok, in order to lead us into this Trecena of rebirth, renewal. So, kind of like I think the last 13 days, well, there's certainly, I don't know about you guys, but like I've certainly been facing some fears, as it were, and overcoming them, confronting some issues. And now, it's kind of interesting. On this day, it's like all systems go, or everything is moving forwards, kind of coming out of the end of it, as, having I consider this 13 Tihash day that I'm recording this on to be the day of the spiritual warrior, where, kind of like that strength, that discernment, that purification has come to us. We've been supported by our ancestors. We've been supported by our spirit. Now it's time to move forwards. Now it's time to go from that Trecena where things have died into this Trecena where things are reborn. Now, it doesn't mean that the Trecena of Kawok won't have some pain to it, because, of course, the birth process is a painful process, as I am informed. But it's about moving forwards. It's about moving into a new phase. It's about moving into a new era, getting squeezed out into this new opening, as it were, being reborn, fresh, renewed, and ready to go forwards. So we're going to begin the Trecena of Kawok on the day 1 Kawok, the beginning of the birthing process. Now, of course, the Trecenas, I'm talking about 13-day periods, but we can also see it as a cycle of the calendar, which can go in a 20-day period from one aspect of the Nawal to the next aspect of the Nawal. So in this case, it will go from 1 Kawok through to 8 Kawok, which we could see as the wholeness. And so it's the beginning which goes to the wholeness. But as we look at it from the point of view of the Trecena, this is the beginning of this rebirthing process, the emergence into the outer world, the emergence into the bright light of the new world. Now, the one can bring some uncertainty. We can imagine, as a newborn, literally on the day 1 Kawok, well, is this world we're venturing out into? Where are we going with it? What is this big, bright, shiny new thing around us? How do we navigate? Maybe we need some advice of how to bring ourselves, how to bear ourselves into this world. Maybe we need some counsel from our friends, from our family, of how to move into this big, bright, brand new world that we're going into. But 1 Kawok is all about this potential to birth something new into the world, this potential to walk out there into our new creation, having resolved our issues, having overcome our fears. Here we are, birthing ourselves anew. So it's about this, literally this new opportunity, this new birth process that we go through, being reborn into this world. So if there is an opportunity to do something new and, to take the first steps into what you're choosing to birth into this world, what you're choosing to bring into this world, then 1 Kawok would be a great day to be doing that on. 2 Ajpu follows 1 Kawok. And here, as we're going through this birthing process, of course, there is the joyful, heroic nature of the birthing process, and there's also kind of like the other side of it, the painful side. For me, Ajpu is about identifying our spiritual path. It is about the return to the source. It is about following that hero within us and saying, right, okay, where does our hero's path lead? What are we journeying towards? Where are we going with it? What is going to make us stand up straight and tall to follow that path of spiritual progress, which is going to, kind of like we're going to go and we're going to come up against our, kind of like our demons and all that kind of thing on that hero's path against our challenges, right? But how are we going to follow it? Now, the number 2 gives us options, but those options are rather limited. They're left or right, heads or tails, 1 or 0. They're very binary in their nature. And when we see that connected with Ajpu, for me, this is kind of like, right, okay, are we going to take the hero's path or are we not? You may find yourself staring at your hero's path in the face, right? You may find yourself looking at it and saying, right, okay, it's a challenging way, which I know is going to help me to develop, is going to involve overcoming a few obstacles, maybe major obstacles in our lives, because that's the hero's path. It's like I have to draw on my inner hero to overcome what's on that path. That way's the easy way, but it just kind of like leads me going back around in the loop until we get to this point again, and I have to make this choice again. So what I would say is that on Tuachpu, you may find that your choices are put to you with a very stark contrast. You want to follow your spiritual path, or you want to kind of like stay in the doldrums, in the kind of like waiting for it to come around again. It's the identification of it. And it may come up in a very, very stark contrast between the two possibilities. What do you want to be born as? Hero or normal? Tuachpu might bring that choices up for you. From Tuachpu, we're then going to move into 3 Imox. So, Imox, all about creativity, all about our dream. Imox, our connection to the collective consciousness as well. Now, there is an issue that Imox can have, and that is that with its connection to the collective consciousness, sometimes it can get submerged in the waters. Sometimes we lose the ability to understand where us finishes and where other begins, as we get carried away by social media or by the media or by our friends, by ideas, of whatever it might be. Now, the interesting thing is that the number 3 can also represent some form of challenge or blockage to that external connection, because the number 3 is asking us to look at the creativity that we find within ourselves. I often think that 3 days are great days for hermiting, kind of like shielding yourself from the outside world, because it's kind of like not quite connected to the outside world in the way that it could be. Now, when we see this combination of 3 Imox come together, I feel that it could actually be quite an interesting combination, in that Imox, where it might go wrong is through being overly connected to external influences, through having all of its little psychic antennae turned on. And yet the 3 kind of blocks them down. And so in some ways, 3 Imox could actually be a very, very positive and fruitful combination of those two, because it's almost like the number negates the challenging qualities of that particular Nawal. What I would also say is that with the 3 being highly creative when it looks inside, this is about looking inside for your own dreams. This newborn consciousness, this new self that's being born to the world, is saying, right, okay, which direction do we take? We got to look within. Where's our dream? What dreams do we hold within us for this newborn, for this new birth, for this new cycle of life that we're going into. So Tz'i Imox may be a very, very introspective day, a great day to go to the sea, to go to the lake, to go to the water, and take some time looking within to remember what your dream is, what your dream was, and what your dream will be. To understand the creativity that flows from within you, that creative source, that creative spark, that nebula within you to create the star within your own existence. That's where I feel that we should be connecting today, and that's about connecting that using the power of the water. After after Tz'i Imox comes 4 Now it's time to tell people about it, right? Ik, the communicator. Ik, the wind. Ik, the breath that rises from our lungs, creates our words. And this is our communication. This is a day to get things over. Now, interestingly enough, this is another really interesting combination, because when we see Ik, we know that Ik can be unpredictable. We know that Ik, the wind changes direction at will. We don't know which way it's going to come from. We also know that the communication of Ik can be very good, but its words tend to be very sticky. Its words tend to be taken to heart very easily. Meaning that if we are communicating without control, then sometimes the words that we use may have an impact on people that we didn't really expect, that we didn't really want. Maybe we said something which is just off the cuff. We weren't expecting it to have that much effect, and yet people really took it to heart, and that kind of didn't work well for them. So this is a hazard of Ik. And Ik days, they can be great for cleaning things. They can be great for, when you use your bottle of compressed air or whatever to clean out your laptop or whatever it might be. This is also what Ik can do, a sweeping wind which cleanses through things. And here we see it with the number 4. What does the 4 bring? Stability. The 4 brings the material. It brings things down to earth in a way that we can get our point across. And so if there is something that you need to get across to people, if there is something you want to bring your words down to earth, explain things in layperson's terms, as it were, to make sure that everybody gets it, an announcement that you want to bring the ground into existence, 4 is a great day to get it out in plain English, in the plain language of your chosen language, perhaps. It's a great day to bring stability to change, because Ik can bring these, kind of like these changes where we don't know quite what's going to happen next. Well, 4 brings it all down to earth, brings it into stability. So if you felt like you're kind of like walking on a bouncy castle for a while or something like that, and kind of like you're not entirely sure where you're going, then 4 like brings that stability to the changes that you've been through in the recent times, brings it down to earth. Also, if you've got something to communicate, then 4 is a great day to get your words out there in a comprehensible language that everybody can understand. From 4 we're then going into 5 Aq'ab'al. So Aq'ab'al, the day of the dusk and the dawn. Aq'ab'al, the twilight world when we're bringing through the new concept. Aq'ab'al, representing shedding light on something, bringing something out of the darkness and into the light. And here we see it with the number 5. The number 5 representing work. The number 5, the energy that we're putting into it. So 5 Aq'ab'al, putting our energy into the new concept that we want to bring into the world. Sometimes I see Aq'ab'al as being like a pair of hands that raise the sun into the sky. And here with that hand, that 5, it's like really understanding we've got to put our effort into bringing this forward into the light. And so, again, it's like you want to shed light on something, here's the time to put your energy into it. You want to bring a new concept into your world, we've got to focus our energy on it. Now, the 5 can also be hard work, and sometimes, yeah, it is hard work, when we want to bring our new concepts in. But it also gives us the opportunity to do that. And it's kind of like when we work on a 5, when we put our energy into a 5, that's when we tend to get rewarded with more than we were expecting. And so it's always worthwhile going the extra mile on a 5-day to really put your energy into, in this case, the new concept that you want to bring in, what you want to bring to light, what in this Trecena of Kawok, birthing things into the world. It's like this is a time to push, make sure that it sees the light of day. From 5 Aq'ab'al, we're then moving into 6 Cat. Now, again, I think a rather favourable day. Cat, the Nawal of the net. Cat, the Nawal of abundance. The Nawal of multiplication. This is, again, kind of like we plant our seeds, and this is where we take our harvest. We, like Cat, multiplying what it comes into contact with. And here, combined with the number 6, the number 6 can represent ultimate stability. It can also represent family. So there's a bunch of things that we can unpack here. Firstly, 6 Cat, family gathering. I mean, that's a pretty obvious one, right? This is a great day to get your family together, to call people together, to get people in. It's a great day to bring stability to that which you are collecting, to take you forwards on your journey. Now, again, this is the Trecena of Kawok. This is the Trecena of the birth of the newborn. And here we are carefully selecting that which we're putting in the bag for our assistance on our journey. We can see it as what do we need to give to the newborn, to that new idea, to that new project, to that new self, that new us that we're bringing in. What do we need to carry in the bag with it, and what do we not need as well? Cat days, I'm sure that you've heard me say many times, I see very much as great days to look at what we're carrying and understand what serves us and what doesn't, to let go of what we no longer need in our bag. And here, on this 6 Cat day, it is bringing in the force of the divine masculine and divine feminine in order to bring stability to what we carry and look at it through these different lenses, receive those messages and say, right, okay, that's going to take my journey forward, but that's actually going to kind of hold my journey back. So I think it's time to let go of that, to gratefully release it back to the world, maybe to pass it on to somebody else. So, it's a time to look through the bag that you're carrying and work out what is, of use to you and what has become a burden. That's always a Cat day. And here, it might be with the help of your family that you can understand truly what helps you to go forward and what holds you back. From 6 Cat, we're then going into 7 Can. Can, the Nawal of power and wisdom. Can, the Nawal of the serpent. Can, the Nawal of the teacher. Those who pass on their wisdom in order to bring power to others. Those who pass on their wisdom to help them to help others to see through illusions. Now, Can has its, let's say, trickier side. But here with the 7, this is a number of finality. This is the end of that journey up the pyramid. This is also a day of choices. So it's, one way we could see it as how to use our power. Can we can see as a life force energy. This could be like the final spark of life that's coming to this newborn that we're birthing out into the world. We've gone from the 4 maybe we could see that as the first stable breath, and this is like this spark of life that comes to it. Now, with 7 Can, it's also about making choices about the way that you choose to use your wisdom. Maybe the way that you choose to use your power as well. We're standing on top of the pyramid and we can see all the best possibilities for what we carry with us, for what we do. And so it's really looking at it and using this wisdom to understand, right, which way are we going with it? Which way are we moving forward with this newborn? 7 Can is a great day to be making decisions about where you're choosing to apply your power, about which wisdom path that you choose to follow. Now, I'd also say that 7 representing endings can also represent illusion. And so 7 could represent the wisdom that comes to us, that helps us to overcome the final illusions, so we can really understand exactly where we're supposed to be going. From 7 Can, we then move to 8 Kame. So another day of celebration of the ancestors, literally. The 8 days often being seen as ceremonial days. This is a great day to be making a ceremony for your ancestors. This is a great day to be making a ceremony on behalf of your ancestors. It's a great day to be giving thanks to your ancestors, to connect with them, to commune with them. 8 Kame can also be a day to give thanks for the guidance that you might have received to overcome your fears. Because, this is understanding this cycle of life and death. 8 representing wholeness, representing completion. And Kame, like the death, the transformation. It's the completion of the transformation. And so, we went through, as I said earlier, we went through the Trecena of Kame. We're now in the Trecena of Kawok, the Trecena of death into the Trecena of rebirth. And here is the completion of the transformation in the middle of this Trecena. Now, 8 Kame can also be seen as a marriage day because, when we get married to somebody, this is also when all of our ancestors are getting married too. And so this is one way of looking for it. But we can really see that, like the 8 Kame, as that celebration of, the whole cycle of life, the life which comes to us from our ancestors, and the celebration of our ancestors themselves. From 8 Kame, we then move into 9 Kirch, another very favorable day. Here we have Kirch, the Nawal of the wilderness. Kirch, the Nawal of spiritual leadership. Kirch, the Nawal of the trees and the mountains. And we have it combined with the number 9. The number 9 representing life. The number 9 also representing the divine feminine. Now, there are a couple of things that I find very interesting here. Firstly, it's, if we look at it with life and the wilderness, this is a great day to go out into the wild, to go and sit in the life force energy of the forest, of the mountain, go absorb what you can from there. What a wonderful day to do it. That's one way to look at it. Another way would be to look at it from the point of view of the number 9 representing the feminine. And, if we see that Kech, representing the spiritual leader, kind of like for me, this is the high priestess day. This is a day to looking to our female spiritual leaders for their guidance in life, for their wisdom and for their strength. This is a day for the empowerment of women in those roles in particular. Now, 9 Kech, really drawing on bringing the strength that we need for life, understanding how we go and connect with nature. This is if you have the opportunity to get out into nature on the 9 Kech day, grab it with both hands, because this is, to bring the strength of the natural world to the newborn, to help them to stand up straight, to get out there and bring them the power. This is the day to do it. So, kind of like if you want to revitalize your life, 9 Kech says get out into the forest. From 9 Kech, we're then going into 10 Anil. Another auspicious day, I think. Anil, a day of abundance, a day of joy, a day of the fruits of our labor. Anil, representing the yellowing of the maize. It's when all of the work that we've been putting in is coming to its fruition. And here we see it with the number 10, representing community, representing agreement, representing society coming together. This is about achieving our goals, about receiving the fruits of our labor. Everything that we've put our energy into for the last 9 months or whenever it might have been, coming together as a result of our cooperative nature with others. This can also be you kind of like cooperating to help your neighbor, your friend, your family to bring in their harvest. It's a day when, for me, the cooperation of the community really helps us all to shine and achieve our highest goals and aims. And so, if there is a community project, then Anil is a great day to work together to bring it to fruition. If you are in need of help, it's a day to stretch out your hand and ask for help. And likewise, if others are in need of help, this is a day to stretch out your hand and give it. It's like, kind of like 10 Anil brings this image of like the community bringing the harvest together. It might be from everybody's fields, but working together to bring things in, and the joy that that brings. We forget sometimes how sweet it can be when we're working with our friends and neighbors, and maybe we've all been too busy to do that for a little while, and then all of a sudden we get together and make this community project or something like that. We're like, wow, I think how fun this is. How kind of like we all get together and we're chatting, and it's a bonding moment. And I feel also kind of like when we look at it from a different point of view slightly, we see that coming together, that 10 representing community, coming together to work together to bring in the harvest, can also be something which makes our community radiant. And for me, this is a wonderful opportunity on 10 Anil. So, after all of these auspicious days, and after all of this, kind of like all of this bounty that we bring in, we then come to 11 Toch. Now, I'm not saying that that's a bad day. What I'm going with is that Toch is asking us, okay, here's where we make a little payment. Here's where we give something back. We've been blessed with so many auspicious Nawalas in this Trecena. It's only fair to give something back. And 11 Toch gives us that opportunity to make our ceremony, to pay off our debts, to do what we need to do to pay it out. Now, the 11 is a high number and an odd number. And, the 11 it has its roots in many different directions. And, kind of like for me, I think that the 11 Toch may bring up a day of kind of like where, you just when you think you paid one bill, another one pops up for payment. But it's a day to get it done. It's a day to kind of like almost go out of your way, go and have a search around, be a bit more proactive about understanding, right, okay, yeah, I need to pay that off, I need to pay that off. It's like, well, I could wait until like a few days later. No, let's get it done on the 11th Toch day, because when we choose to embrace it, putting our energy into that day, that is the day for payment. If you've got something to share, if you've got something to tithe from your harvest, if you want to, give to Odim or to the Popol Chai, you'll see the addresses in the info beneath this video. But it's a great day to donate. It's a great day to give something back for all the good days that you've received in this Kawok Trecena. Now, there is also something that's said with Tok, that Tok is like a bit of a karmic signpost. And sometimes we think about it as like, hey, if I don't do this, then this bad thing will happen. Well, sometimes it's also kind of like looking at it as like, okay, we've got this going on, and we can actually make it better by doing that. Okay. Now, Toch is said to be like ailments might be one of the ways that Toch communicates and reminds us that we're a bit out of balance. And so making our payment can help to bring that balance back. It can help us to pay something into the future to keep, kind of like to look after the baby that's being born, as it were. So if you have the opportunity to give on a Toch day, it's always good to do so. Next comes 12 Tz'i. Okay? So Tz'i, the Nawal of faith and loyalty and justice and law. It is also the Nawal of, well, there's a form of leadership that goes. It's guidance. And here we are, we're in this Kawok Trecena, we're birthing this new baby into the world. And along comes 12 Tz'i as the guide with the keen nose, the keen eyes, the keen ears like a dog. And here to guide, what's it using? The number 12. The number 12 representing all of our life experience being bundled together. So 12 Tz'i asks us to look to our life experience for guidance. It's asking us, kind of like if as we go through that birthing process, how are we going to do it? What are we going to do it with? What are we going to, kind of like take as our guide? Our life experience. Okay? Now, we can also understand with 12 Tz'i that Tz'i is also the Nawal of the vices. And let's face it, many of us might be obviously very pure now or something along that kind of line, but maybe that's not always been the case. Maybe there was something that has been a temptation in our life. Maybe it's still there. Maybe it's just kind of like lurking in the shadows and we haven't dealt with it. 12 Tz'i may well bring up that temptation because it's kind of like, it's from our life experience, right? And so sometimes something comes back. We're like, oh, hang on, no, I have still got that going on. At some point or other, we're going to have to get over it. 12 Tz'i may also tell us, well, like, maybe that was then, and this is now. And now we've got all of this extra life experience that helps us to say, you have no power over me anymore. Maybe that's what it will be. I often, I would see 12 Tz'i really, though, being about using our life experience to act as a guide for ourselves and others. And so, again, kind of like looking at how we can work with others, how we can work in community. 12 Tz'i gives us the opportunity to pass our life experience on to others to help to guide them in their first footsteps into this world. And then finally, we finish this Kawok Trecena on the rather wonderful day of 13 bats. So bats, creativity, bats, arts, bats, the creative essence, the weaver. And here with the number 13 representing the ancestors, representing the spirit world, this could be a wonderful day to be, well, for want of better words, channeling your art, okay? Getting in touch with your ancestors, getting in touch with spirit, and see what comes through your fingers, see what comes through your voice, see what comes through your creativity, see what you create. It would be a great day to tap into ancestral methods of creativity as well. Maybe it's a way to tap into maybe your, kind of like one of your ancestors was a poet or maybe a musician or something like that. Maybe tap into what they were doing. But we also see that our creativity on this Bats Day is driven through our connection with the spirit world. Now, I think this is a highly opportune day to be working with any kind of creative project that you may have going on. So I would very strongly suggest that you dedicate that day to your creativity and allow your channel to be open, to receive the guidance from your ancestors, to receive the guidance from Spirit as to what you to create on that day. So that's been the Trecena of Kawok. I hope that it has been useful to you. I hope that it's been enjoyable to you. And I look forward to seeing you in 13 days' time for the new path for the Trecena of 1 Thank you.